our presenter has as much time as possible to answer your questions at the end. So as I said, welcome to the second installment of the 2015 NAVTEQ webinar series. Our attendance to this webinar series has been steadily growing, and we wanted to take a moment to thank Bob Poliska and JMT for being facilitators and hosts of these events. The Mid-Atlantic Geospatial Transportation Users Group has been around for 10 years, helping transportation professionals stay abreast of advances in geospatial technology. We are an all-volunteer organization. All steering committee members donate their time to plan and carry out informational events, and industry-focused companies donate resources such as meeting spaces, coffee and lunch gatherings, and in the case of this webinar series, a premium GoToWebinar teleconference account that can host our entire audience. So thank you, Bob. Before we introduce today's presenter, who is also volunteering this time to be with us, please note the schedule for upcoming webinars in the 2015 series. In June, we'll be showcasing advances in GIS education for transportation professionals from Penn State. In August, we will be there will be a demonstration of disconnected editing of GIS data in the field by both Esri and Leica representatives. In October, just in time for storm season, will be a talk for how GIS can be used to better disaster planning, do better disaster planning, and damage assessment and estimation. We're still looking for a project or application to highlight in this webinar, the October webinar, and we're looking for a presenter to volunteer his or her expertise to lead this webinar. If you have or know of someone or some accomplishment that fits this topic, please contact me, Janelle Visaquino, through the NAVTEQ website. While you're at the website, be sure to take time to subscribe to our email list and join the National GIS-T discussion group. Lastly, for those who were looking forward to the spring symposium on open source GIS and open data for transportation that was canceled in March, we are in the works for rescheduling this for later this year, so please stay tuned. Okay? So now on to today's webinar, HERE Maps, helping to build our maps for a better tomorrow. This is being conducted by another expert volunteer, as I said, Jeff Kehr of HERE Maps. Sorry, Jeff. Jeff started with HERE NAVTEQ in August 2000 as an associate field analyst, based in Harrisburg. In 2004, Jeff transferred to Pittsburgh, PA, and was promoted to Senior Geographic Analyst. In addition to his normal job duties, Jeff was involved in many special projects revolving around HERE's next-generation map-building software. In 2008, Jeff relocated to Philadelphia and became team leader of the Delaware Valley Group. His group oversees all updates and maintenance for Maryland, Delaware, southern New Jersey, and central eastern Pennsylvania. Jeff's five-person group is spread over 3 offices in Media, Harrisburg, and Baltimore. Take it away, Jeff.
Thank you, Janelle. Bob, Janelle, you guys can see my screen okay? Just the first thing I want to get out of the way.
There's a little bit of blinking, but that should work itself out.
Right. If the slides aren't working, any other questions or technical concerns, just feel free to, I guess you don't have to draft a question, but just let Bob and Janelle know what's going on, and we'll try to make adjustments. So I have 58 slides that I want to try to get through. It's quite a few, so some are going to go quicker than others. Hopefully I can fill the hour with enough time for Q&A. First off, I'd like to thank Bob, Janelle, and the NAVTEQ Steering Committee for giving me this opportunity to speak. I'm hoping to share our story and give a little bit more insight on what Here Maps is and what we are trying to accomplish. Before looking at the agenda, just give a little bit more information on who I am. I know, Janelle, you covered that for me. What's going on here? Okay, here we go. So I grew up in North Central PA, went to Penn State, graduated there in 2000. When I went there, I wanted to be a landscape architect. That changed really quickly when I started taking intro geography classes there, and I ended up loving it. I know the biggest question I would get from my family and friends is, what are you going to do with a geography major? And I kept telling them, I'm going to make maps. And it's worked out well so far. I hope it continues. So again, I started in August 2000 in Harrisburg. I worked there for 4 years before going out to Pittsburgh, and Janelle covered that. And I came back to Eastern PA to work out of the Philadelphia office in late 2007. So I've been in all 3 of our Pennsylvania field offices, which has been great. I've been doing a lot of travel early on in my career, a lot of PA, Ohio, New Jersey, Delaware. I was fortunate enough to go to the Cayman Islands in 2008 for a 5-day build. And that was basically building all 3 islands from scratch. I think all we had at the time were just the outlines of the islands themselves, and that was great. Only negative was learning to drive on the left side of the road, which took a day or 2 to adjust to, but it was cool. So I've been the team leader of the Delaware Valley team here since early 2008. During that time, field work has not dropped off. Our travel has. We're not going to these exotic locations anymore because everything has pretty much been mapped. Now it's maintenance and updating, so we're really concentrating on our local areas. I became aware of NAVTEQ a couple years ago, and I've been active since. When I say active, of course with this webinar, I've been to a number of conferences or presentations. GIS Day at Burlington County Community College I've been to a couple times. I've been to the DVRPC building, I think at least one time for a conference. Trenton, I made my way up there for a conference in the Villanova Symposium a couple years ago. I was able to make it to. So it's been great. I really enjoy going to these conferences and listening to presentations. It's been fantastic. Right now, I lived in Pennsylvania all my life. The last couple of years, I made my way to southern New Jersey. After getting married, I guess I had to go where the wife lives, so it's all cool. My office is in media, so I have a good 25 to 30-minute commute every day, which isn't all that bad. So let's get over to the agenda. So what I want to cover is just give a background of the company, give a history of the company, then pretty much going into how we build our map. It's a mix of field data collection, local source data, map creator, expert communities. Let me go to the next slide. So we make maps. I mean, that's what we've been doing for the last 30 years. It's been under a number of different names and brands. And that's something we'll touch on a little later on during the presentation. But basically, we make the navigable map database that is used in a number of products: computers, tablets, phones, GPS units. I think everyone is well aware of those type of maps. Before I start into the other items on the agenda, just want to give you a quick look at our customers. Now, this is not completely up to date. I took this slide. It says 2013 at the bottom, but it was the best slide I could find. I think we're missing a couple of the big fish, and that's Amazon and Samsung. They should be added to this. So, I mean, it's a who's who of major players. I mean, if you look at the automotive manufacturers, they're all there. Wireless, internet, personal navigation devices. You have your Garmin's. Like I said, Amazon, Samsung's. I mean, the 2 major players that are missing probably stand out. That would be Google and Apple. And I think everybody knows Google has their own mapping application. Although they did use us up until like 2008 or 9. They wanted to branch out and do their own thing, but I guess that's what Google does. But it's all good. I'm sorry. So here, we're the world's leading location cloud, and I'm going to share a couple slides to try to back that up. We're a dedicated location-based company with global reach. I should say we're the only dedicated location-based company with global reach. We have a trusted innovation partner with deep industry knowledge, We have a location experience across devices and many operating systems, something that others do not have. And we have an unmatched portfolio across automotive, consumer, and enterprises based on the world's digital map. So I'm going to elaborate a little bit more on each of those. When I say dedicated location-based company with global reach, right now we employ basically like 6,000 people in 55 countries. But at the same time, we produce maps for nearly 2,000 countries. I have a little map a little later on that will show you a high-level look at where our offices are located. Now, we're building out maps in 2,000 countries. We do have a couple large production centers in India and Mexico, and they do a lot of that work. We also have field teams all over the globe traveling all the time. The U.S. is a mature market. East or Western Europe is a mature market. So the travel that we're doing now is local, whereas a lot of these other countries we're expanding and updating constantly. So there has to be a whole lot of travel to these countries. Plus we're using sourcing and map communities, which I'll touch on later. 4 out of 5 in-car nav systems in North America and Europe. I mean, that's 80% of nav systems. It's probably higher than that in the U.S., but they use our data. Pretty much every car manufacturer, they use our stuff. We enable mobile web and enterprise solutions for global industry leaders as well. This slide shows milestones. The stuff in blue, I guess, would be the technology related. The stuff in white would be brand related. My next slide also covers similar information. So like in the blue, you can see in the mid-90s, the first map, online map, that was, I believe, MapQuest. We also had the first in-car GPS units in the US and Europe. Later on in the 2000s, we had the first traffic in-car GPS, first map on a mobile phone. You guys can see that. 2007 is when the first community online tools were developed. And later on, in just a couple years ago, the first humanized guidance. I think instead of Sally, whoever you want to call your voice lady on GPS will tell you to take a left on Main Street, it might say take a left at the Wawa instead. Make it more human. And in terms of the brand, the next slide I think is a little better for the brand, because this is where I think I want to make a connection between what here is and where we came from. Here was founded in 1985 out in California. It was really local to the Bay Area. During that time, probably in the mid-90s, I don't have it on this list, but we became Navigation Technologies. And again, you can see the first internet portal customer in 1995, that was MapQuest and all that good stuff. So in 2004, Navigation Technologies became NAVTEQ. And I would think 80 to 90% of the people on this call probably are aware of NAVTEQ and the NAVTEQ brand. Not a whole lot of people are familiar with the HERE brand. But here is NAVTEQ. NAVTEQ is HERE. It's just the brand has changed over the years. In 2006, NAVTEQ acquired the map network and traffic.com. I think everybody around here knows traffic.com, being based in the suburbs for such a long time. I was able to work out of the Malvern facility for a couple years before we moved to media. 2008, Nokia acquires NAVTEQ, so that's when the NAVTEQ brand still carried on, but Nokia Maps started to make an appearance. And then in 2012, the HERE brand was launched and kicked off. So hopefully that gives a little bit more of a timeline on where we came from. And the third piece of that agenda was the agnostic location experiences across devices and operating systems. And it's something we believe our customers appreciate, that our maps are available on every device and operating system. Up until a year or two ago, we were pretty much Windows-based. We didn't have apps for the Android and the iOS, but recently we have introduced HERE maps on both Android and iOS. And so far I've read good reviews. I try to stay away from the negative ones, so try to stick with the good ones. Our business has spanned decades in industries and has allowed us to remain device and OS agnostic. No other location company delivers maps that can be used seamlessly as you move through the day, from your tablet to your car to your smartphone, and that's something that we've really been working on. The fourth piece was the unmatched portfolio for automotive, enterprise, and consumer. As the leading location cloud We have the ability to serve a broad range of customers across all three of these segments. We do have a flexible business model where customers can choose. This is more of a sales statement, but it is true. I'm not part of the sales team or marketing team. I'm just part of the local field office, but it definitely does ring true. We support our customers' ability to differentiate in accordance with their own unique strategies as well. So next is a slide. It just describes the HERE platform in general, and it's a global and flexible technology powerhouse. It really is. It's immense. And the database, the mapping database that we maintain is a piece. It's a large piece, because if you're not able to get to point A to point B, it's not going to work. But there's so many other pieces of the puzzle, from sources, from built-in sensors, probe data, POI layers, real-time traffic, real-time transit tables, if you want to get the bus from so-and-so to so-and-so. It's just a massive, it's a powerhouse, and working on it every day continues to grow significantly as data volumes continue to grow. And here are just a couple numbers related to the HERE platform. It's really growing momentum. 9.1 billion plus transactions weekly, 1.7 billion map tiles served weekly. So you see a lot of stuff in billions. Traffic transactions served weekly, search and geocode requests weekly is up at 2 billion, 360 million, 390 million routing requests weekly. So it gets a lot of use, as you can see. And here's smart guidance. I mean, this is one of the new initiatives that is being worked on. It's just a way of trying to understand the driver by using the data from the vehicle, personal profiles, preferences, and behaviors to provide the personal, contextually aware experience in the vehicle. I mean, it's trying to, you know, we have smartphones, we have smart gadgets all over the place, and we want to initiate smart guidance. It will be useful in every day. I know with my phone, it's now telling me when I need to leave for work so I don't get caught in traffic, and again, that's fantastic. And the core products, again, I'm in the field, so if you guys have questions about products, you can ask. I'll try to answer, but it's something that I might have to pass up the chain. But again, this smart guidance is going to be available in lots of products, if not already. Next is the intelligent car, and there's a lot of press out there with with Google and other auto manufacturers wanting to create the autonomous vehicle. And as you can see, technology is rapidly transforming cars to provide more than just transportation. And we're trying to advance the ability of the car to take control of the wheel, and we are at the forefront of this initiative to make driving safer, to transform how people move around their cities. We're working with partners on the intelligent car, and we're working alongside automotive leaders to transform the way we move from point A to point B, and I think it's really cool. A little bit later, I have a page dedicated to YouTube. I tried to link a couple videos, but it just wasn't working properly. So I just linked them on the page, and I'll share that. And a couple that have to do with the intelligent car. HERE Enterprise, again, this is Enterprise helps businesses to move to more effectively manage their assets. HERE's enabling businesses, governments, nonprofits to move effectively, manage their assets, both static and mobile. Just trying to optimize that part of business. Enterprise, I mean FedEx, UPS, I mean Amazon, they're like the large corporate entities within the enterprise. And again, there's a list of the core products associated with enterprise. Last is HERE Apps. And again, HERE Maps, it's a global suite of location applications that are reliable, innovative, and intuitive. The HERE Maps suite, or HERE Apps suite, I apologize. If you have a Windows phone, which I know not a lot of people have Windows phones at this period, but you have a suite of apps all HERE related, and they're great. And like I said recently, HERE Maps is now available on Android and iOS, and hopefully more apps will become available in time. So that's a quick look at the different products, and if you have questions, feel free to branch out. And here's that YouTube channel or YouTube page I was referring to. Here Maps does carry a YouTube channel. So if you have any interest in learning more about Here Maps, by all means go to YouTube and look for Here Maps. On this presentation I have quite a few links. Here auto-connected services, the first two. It just shows the future of where we're trying to head. There's a couple links from the CES 2015 conference in Las Vegas. It just gives a high-level look of what we were doing out there. And the last three are geared towards Here Gear, which is the watch on the right, little screenshot. iOS and Android just gives a quick little blurb on where we're going with those operating systems. And we are yearly making continued investments in the map. Right now we're investing basically 250 million euro a year. A lot of that's on more emphasis on the field for local data collection. We acquired Earthmine. I don't know if anybody's familiar with Earthmine, but they're really helping with our in-car setup, which I'll show some pictures, just equipping more vehicles with LiDAR and high-res photography on top. A lot of our cars, I don't know how many people have seen the Google cars or the Bing Map cars. Our cars out there as well locally, and I'll show a picture of that. Again, people, we have 6,000 employees globally, so we are a decent-sized company. In coverage, 38 million plus kilometers of roadway covered each year. So we are driving, and we're driving a lot. This is just some more numbers on content. Like I said, we have over 200 countries mapped, 214. We're doing 2.7 million edits a day. And again, that's field, offices, and production facilities in India and Mexico. We're really pushing hard for indoor maps. Right now, or when this slide was created, we had a little under 80,000 indoor maps, and it's really taken off. It's going to be very key going forward, especially with people with smartphones. You know, you go to a mall, you go to a university, you want to know where you're going. So that's the next step. 80,000 external sources, and that's source providers giving us data that we can integrate into our system. And that's anything from center lines to parks, park polygons, parcel data, land use data. Anything and everything is, for the most part, what we're collecting. Countries with live traffic services is up to 34 at least. Countries with voice guidance is 96 at least. Cities with public transit, it was 805 when this slide was created. I imagine it's higher now, and that's another push that we're really trying to make. And maps available in 52 languages. So again, this was the map I referred to earlier about global reach. And again, 6,000 people in 55 countries. So we are very active, and you can see U.S. and Europe. That's where the majority of the offices are, but we are spread global. And a lot of the countries where we do have maps, again, that's a lot of local field travel and production work in our production centers to get those maps up to speed. So locally, this is where we sit. This is our Delaware Valley team. I'm in charge of Philly, we call Philly Northeast, so that's the city of Philadelphia in the northern, and I guess you can say eastern suburbs, Bucks, Montgomery counties, and I have all of South Jersey from Mercer and Burlington County down through Cape May. Taryn, who's in my office, she has northeastern PA, that's pretty much Berks and the Lehigh Valley up to the New York border. Lene in my office, she has Philly West, which is Chester and Delaware County, state of Delaware and eastern Maryland. And Jim Triplett, he's out of Baltimore, he has mainland Maryland. And Gina, she's in the Harrisburg office, she has all of central PA. And each analyst is responsible for updating and maintaining their assigned areas. MRs, they stand for map reports. They're customer-oriented reports that come to us asking for a map update. Quarterly high-profile updates. QHPU, they're just like normal updates. A new road might be realigned or a new interchange is formed, and we want to go out and collect it. Sourcing, that's us trying to contact probably a lot of people on this call about getting sources, if it's county sources or bike sources, pedestrian sources, whatnot. Going up to the next level, this is the U.S. Northeast region. My boss is in charge of this team. He's based out of Biddeford, Maine, but we have, again, 4 teams. We have Eastern Great Lakes in yellow. The green is the Delaware Valley team. The reddish color is Metro New York City. And then we have New England, which is Connecticut, Massachusetts, Vermont, up through Maine. I would go up another level, but it's just the United States cutting for 4 territories: Northeast, Northwest, Southeast, Southwest. So the question is, how do we build and maintain the map? And for the most part, we have 3 key ways. The first is the HERE professional field data collection. That would be us, the HERE teams, going out and collecting, building the map daily in our offices. I would say that accounts for 85. This is just me creating numbers, but I would say that's around 85% of how the map gets created. Acquisition of local sources. Say a county goes through a new E911 and everything's being readdressed. We want that source. We want to try to get that source so we can update it. Any source, that's just an example. That's about 10%. Map creator community edits. That's you. That's the average Joe who wants to help make edits. I would say that's about 5%. We want to reduce the HERE professional, and we want to try to start relying more on sourcing and community edits. Because we have 3 people in my team, or in my office here in media. We're covering greater Philadelphia area, so stuff's slipping through the cracks. I mean, we're doing our best to keep up, but it's not, you know, it's not possible. So that's where we want to try to use sourcing in the community to help bridge that gap. Another slide on field data collection. So in the screenshot, you can see a couple things going on. Bottom right, that's our company car. It's new. We got it early December. You can see the rig on top, a better picture of the rigs on the left-hand side. That's some of the new technology that we're using with the Earthmine acquisition. On the top, we have a little round GPS unit, of course, that will keep track of where we're going. Underneath that, we have a LiDAR system, and that's there for throwing billions of points out. I look at it like Doppler radar or something. Comes back and we can make 3D imagery. I think it's up to 200 meters out that it can capture 3D imagery. And then underneath that we have 4 high-res cameras that gives us a 360-degree view. Top right-hand corner, we have technology in the car, so we have our little screens in the car, so when we go out collecting, we can see where we're going. We can actively collect, and then we would code in the office. And I can show you a couple screenshots of that later. Top right hand is also another vehicle. That's the car we had prior to the new vehicle. So local offices, I think this is a little outdated as well. 67 in the U.S. seems high to me now, but we still have a lot of regional support. Field offices located all over the place. We're still driving the road, and that's a competitive advantage, and I'll show you a slide a little bit later on. Because if we can drive the roads, we're seeing what's happening in real time. We're not relying on sourcing. We're not relying on imagery. They're definitely great aids, but we're not solely relying on that kind of stuff. And again, acquisition of Earthmine, I touched on that. It's really helped strengthen the data collection processes. And when we're in the road, we collect hundreds of attributes, hundreds. This is a shot in Chicago. And if you can see, there's little circles, and I'm just going to go through them. Right there, there's a one-way sign that gets collected. Height restriction, that gets collected. Traffic light, that gets collected. No left turn, that gets collected. Naming, of course, gets collected. Divider types, you know, anything and everything that we can collect to add to our maps, we're going to collect. If you're on a residential road in the middle of a neighborhood, there's nothing really you're going to collect. There's not a whole lot going on, except for maybe speed limits, names, addresses, if it's no through traffic or whatnot. But when you're in the city, it gets very, very hectic, and that's why we're really relying on video to help us. It provides a crutch. Divider type, lane count, yes. Pavement type. So here are a couple. I'm going to go over next, like 5 or 6 slides are just real-life examples. This is in Millersville University outside Lancaster in Pennsylvania. This is part of a higher education cleanup recently. One of my coworkers went out to Millersville to do a presentation. She drove around on the navigable links within the within the campus. It's tough to see, and you can see in red pen notations. She had to X out some roads, delete. There was some stuff that were one ways. There was some pedestrian geometry that she added in. Here's another example. This is from a hotspot example in Princeton, New Jersey. Hotspots when we have dedicated locations that we want to capture. We want to do a complete 100% drive within like a mile or 2 mile radius of that. I can't remember what it was in Princeton that I need to drive around. I'm drawing a blank. But anytime there's high-profile situations, if there's Super Bowls, recently we had the U.S. Open here in the suburbs, the Democratic National Convention coming up. That kind of stuff gets classified as hotspot. So we go out and we drive at 100%, make sure POIs are up to date, one-ways are up to date, geometry changes are up to date. In this Princeton hotspot, I think bottom left-hand corner, there's a park in green. That was not in. I added that in. The Rider University at Princeton polygon was not in. I needed to add that in. The old hospital in Princeton that was being demolished, we still had that in. Again, we can't get everything all the time, so that had been closed for a while, and I had to remove that. So it's good that we get out and drive to find this stuff in real time. Another initiative was called HPU, high profile updates, also called rapid refresh. And that's basically saying we're not going to wait for the new imagery. If something is being done, we're going to try to capture it in real time. And for those of you that are aware of the New Jersey Turnpike widening, which I think everybody on this call probably is, this is exit 8. As you can see, the imagery shows the Old Toll Plaza on the left-hand side of the road on the southbound side. In reality, it's on the northbound side on the right-hand side, along with the new interchange with Route 33. And this was my baby. This is something that I was covering since it started in, 2009 through 2014. Again, the first couple of years of that, there was not much going on because construction had just started. But over the past 2 years, it's been crazy. I've been doing quarterly, if not monthly or weekly, trips up there to capture any new ramp that went in, because this is stuff we had to capture in real time. And it was a beast. I was able to forge relationships with the main website press secretary. She was able to keep me up to speed when ramps were opening. This time last year, when I think they were moving all traffic onto the outer lanes, I was able to get in contact with the operations manager up there, and he led us on a drive when the project was about 90% complete and still not open to the general public. He escorted us through the construction so we could collect the GPS for all the outer lane geometry and ramps so we could make the changes in real time for the grand opening in May. And it was great. I mean, it takes, for us in our map, here.com, it takes maybe 2 weeks for these high-profile updates to go through the process of being added into our map to showing up on here.com. So we made the changes in mid to late April, and when it opened in early May, it was there. So it was fantastic to get that, to be able to get on the road ahead of time. And here's a little bottom right, a little screenshot that we took from our vehicle with the constructions getting close. All the traffic were on the inner lanes, but the outer lanes were still not open. Here's another example of the HPU Rapid Refresh program. This is the US 422 Arm & Hammer Boulevard interchange in Pottstown, Montgomery County. This was completed in, well, at least these ramps were completed in late 2014. I went out and drove them, I think, the day they opened. You can see the new ramps. They're kind of highlighted on the southern part of the screenshot, and you can see an imagery where the old ramps were. And then on the right, there are 2 other screenshots. And again, this is showing where local field offices is a competitive advantage. Top right, it's tough to see. That's our map from here.com with the geometry and its correct state. The ramps are where they need to be. And bottom right is from Google. They have the new ramps in, but they also have the old ramps in. And that might cause some confusion. I don't know what kind of exceptions might get generated from that within their database, but it just shows having local teams is definitely an advantage. Rapid Refresh includes POIs too. We have a set number of POIs that we include in the Rapid Refresh program. hospitals, airports, I guess casinos. With the recent casino closings in Atlantic City, we had to take those out because they are pretty high-profile POIs. This is the AI DuPont Children's Hospital in Wilmington, Delaware. You can see where I drove with the GPS traces on the bottom left in that screenshot, larger screenshot. And if you can see read my chicken scratch, there's an ME and an ER. Those are the main entrance and the ER entrances. And that's where we moved the POIs. So if you were routing to AI DuPont, you had a choice of going, I want to go to the main entrance or the ER entrance, and it should get you right there where you need to be. And again, this was just a little comparison with Google, with talking about the local office and having a competitive advantage. Top right shows AI DuPont. The geometry is correct. The polygon building footprint is not. I don't know why that didn't get updated as well. I did make the update. I'm not sure why that's the case, but in the Google example, it's still showing the main points of interest for the emergency room in the main entrance at the old ones. So if you wanted the route, it might take, if you're not familiar, it might take you to the wrong location, which if you have an emergency, you don't want that to happen. And this is just an update on postal work that we do. A lot of our work does revolve around getting new developments into the database because, I mean, this is happening everywhere. This was I was working a postal code in Gloucester County, and you can see from imagery, you can start to make out where the roads are going to be, but you can't really do much with it. So I had to go out and drive it. This is a screenshot of my FDC. And again, you can't really read my chicken scratch probably, but we have Falcon Way Boulevard, Rainbow Drive, Yellowfin, Fawn Drive. So I was able to drive, collect a GPS. If there was dividers, the speed limits, I was able to collect some names and addresses as well. And then when I was done putting it into our database, here we go. It's in. I have to revisit this though, because it's a new development. Fawn Drive is colored green. That means it has addresses. The rest of it is colored in that reddish color. And they don't have addresses yet because they're in the middle of building. So that's something we have to revisit so I can confirm addresses. So if you live in this development, you know how to get home, or you know how to tell visitors or friends to get to your house. And the latest thing I was working on was a general maintenance project along the New Jersey beaches. And this is along southern Cape May. I was pretty much concentrating on parks, POIs, tourist attractions, missing streets and developments. So on the left-hand side, you can see the bigger screenshot. You can kind of make out the greenish GPS trace. That's what I covered in a 1 day's worth of driving. Top right is a screenshot from Wildwood, showing some polygonal features that I added in around the Maurice Pier amusement areas. I think there's 3 different piers, and we had points of interest in, but we did not have the actual polygon, so I wanted to add that stuff in. The Wildwood Convention Center, Fox Park, again, we didn't have that stuff in, and it's important. And this is something that if we had good sources, we would be able to update that with source and not having to rely on myself going out and driving. Bottom right, Cape May screenshot. This is the city or the town of Cape May. Again, I was just driving around the main drags along the beach and up in the Washington Street and Liberty Way shopping areas, checking attributes such as what are pet only, one-ways, just verifying POIs. So it's really worthwhile. I mean, I always find changes. Shops change. One-ways might change, and it's really worthwhile. Here's a list of just other projects, past and present, and future that we have been working on. This is basically my stuff. Completed projects. Again, we have the exit 6 to 9 widening project on the Turnpike, Route 52 Causeway Bridge in going to Ocean City, New Jersey. We have a couple Delaware projects, the I-95 US 202 ramp work north of Wilmington. Then we have the I-95 state route ramp work by the Christiana Mall, the US 202 Parkway, Montgomery and Bucks County. I mean, I was on that the day it opened. It just feels good to get it in, even though it takes months to show up on a Garmin unit. You know, it feels good to get it in that day. Did the beaches general maintenance project I just showed you. Some of the current future projects that we have our eye on and we're reviewing every time there's a change. The I-95 revive work in Philly, the Girard, Cottman, Betsy Ross areas. The I-95 PA Turnpike Direct Connect up by Ben Salem. 476 Northeast Extension widening that's going on. The Direct Connect I-295, I-76 work going on in Camden County, Garden State Parkway widening, the whole thing from exit 30 to exit 80. the Garden State Parkway interchange work going on in Cape May, where they're making 9, 10, and 11, making ramp systems there. A couple projects that we're working on now that we will be working on for the next couple months include Regional Bikes and Trails Project. I know I've been really looking at the circuit and the data provided by the DVRPC has been fantastic in letting me know where some of these stuff might be, where I need to go field verify. Chester County, Westchester cleanup. We got a source from Chester County a year or two back, and we're really hitting that hard. I mean, we were able to integrate a lot of that source, but we're really trying to get the rest in. So again, there's some projects that we're working on. And it's all about research. It really is when it comes to our job. We go out and driving, but we need to research ahead of time where stuff is happening. County websites. I get a lot of news and updates from county websites, such as, they're usually smaller scale, intersection realignments, POI changes, new parks, etc. Regional planning commissions, they've been fantastic. The DVRPC, I've been using their transportation improvement plan over the years, and it really gives me specific timelines on what's happening, where it's happening. It's time consuming to go in and look at all that, but it really helps me plan out when I need to go out and drive something. Local media outlets, local newspapers, TV, they provide good real-time updates and closures. The whole I-495 bridge issue over the Christiana River last summer, how that was closed for 3 months. We're getting a lot of our information from the local media because DelDOT was not providing us with anything really. State DOTs and the Turnpike Authority, they're very good with providing specifics on both large and small scale projects for the most part. Then we also have like the project dedicated websites, Revive I-95 or the Direct Connect I-295 work that's going on in Camden County. I visit that often. On the right-hand side is a screenshot just of my update area. We have Montgomery County, Camden, Philadelphia County, the rest of the New Jersey counties and whatnot. This is what we call our postal match rate. The postal match rate is, I guess, the rate that we can match you up with an actual name or address if you put it into a navigation system looking at our database. So if you're in Montgomery County, if 98.06% of all names or addresses you put into that GPS, or put into our database, I should say, there should be a hit. You should be able to find that location. The 97.5 is the threshold, so you can see the counties highlighted in right in column U. They're the counties above 97.5, and then the other counties in yellow are below 97.5. So if I'm going to try to decide where I want to do postal updating to maybe find more of these streets and new addresses to up that number, I'm probably going to concentrate on the counties highlighted in yellow. And the majority of those are in New Jersey, and I know we got a new cut of the New Jersey State Center line maybe a couple months ago, and those counties went through integration process, I think, last quarter. And the numbers in column Q are from Q3 2014, so I'm hoping the next release we get, those numbers go up, and as they should go up, because we did some significant work there. And I touched on LiDAR 3D, the next generation of maps. It's already happening. On the left, these two screenshots, I guess, is the raw LiDAR information. And on the right, after they get processed, that's what they look like. So more and more buildings are going to be popping up as 3D images on the map. Sourcing. I'm going to transition to the sourcing piece of building the map. This is a key initiative that started a few years back as digital sources they've gotten so accurate over the years. It really reduces the amount of driving and overall time to get needed updates into the database. Years ago, and I'm talking 10, 15 years ago, we drove everything. I mean, literally everything. We would go on a build, and that's a fancy word for saying, it's not real fancy actually, but it's the word we used to say when we're going out, and we're going to drive every single lake in a given county to make sure it matches our specification. So if we had a decent sized county, that's going to take a team of 3 to 4 cars many, many weeks. Using a mix of sources and field research, we can cut that build time down to 75% on average. So it's a tremendous time saver. So sources definitely play a role in our day-to-day lives. So in this slide, you can see we try to get sources. Right in the middle we have the source evaluation. If it's solid, we're going to integrate it right into our map. If we look at it and we think it needs some quality improvements or doesn't really look all that great, we'll use it, but we're also going to combine that with field data collection to make sure what we're getting from the source is accurate. And again, that will get integrated into the database as well. And here are a couple benefits of providing data if you are a source provider. You have accurate local maps online, in vehicle, and on mobile devices. Again, going back to that slide we showed earlier, 80% of all nav systems at least use our data. So if our data is missing roads, it's not going to show up on your Garmin or in your nav system in your vehicle. Mobile phones as well. If you're using our platform, then it's not going to be showing up. So that's, if you have good source material, it definitely come in handy. Rapid emergency response. The better the match rate, the quicker. That's why E911 readdresses are so important, because that's, you know, that's all 911 related. So if the ambulance knows where to go, it makes things much easier, much more faster. Successful package deliveries, FedEx, UPS, they not complain, but I think we all know that sometimes we don't get packages because they might not know where we live. Maybe not where you live, but a friend or a family member. That happens. And if I do hear that, somebody comes to me and I have my computer right then and there, I usually make that correction myself to make sure it doesn't happen again. Economic development boost, more accurate locations of local and regional businesses, POIs, it really comes in handy for your local businesses. Residents are able to route quickly, safely around your community. And this is something the general public or consumers asking for, and we see that with map reports that get generated. People, we get thousands and thousands of requests every month saying, my development's not in, can you please update my address? So it's important. I mean, they're asking for it. And especially more and more people are using their phones and smart devices when you're trying to get to point A to point B. We all want that instant gratification, and any bump in the road when trying to navigate to an endpoint, if you can't get there, it's going to cause stress and aggravation. So it's something that we're really trying to improve on, and sourcing definitely will. And here's a screenshot just of some, I stole this from a colleague actually. It's from Gina from Central PA. There's a lot from Center County, that's Penn State College area, Lancaster, York, and Dauphin County, that's the greater Harrisburg area. If you can read into it, you can see different types of sources that we collect and integrate: malls, truck routes, university maps, center lines, cargo features, etc. Like I said, we collect pretty much anything and everything. And if it's in high quality, it usually gets integrated very, very quickly. And this is a new tool that we've developed. It's called the Here Map Supplier Portal. Honestly, this tool has been great when individuals, counties, or other agencies want to submit their data. If you are a data supplier and you do want to supply data to get integrated into the map, you just go to the site. There's the FTP. You click through a few pages and you agree to the legal and user restrictions. I think they're all really basic. You know, we see so many potential deals fall apart due to legal restrictions, but it's usually at the senior level, maybe of that particular government entity. Anytime I talk with other GIS professionals, if it's from the county or whatever, they want that data in, but their hands are tied either because of cost or upper management. They don't understand that the simple transaction. They don't understand it. They don't understand the positives that will go into it. They're just looking at the legal side of things. And usually it's 1 or 2 lines within 6 or 7 pages of the agreement that causes problems. And, you know, we work with, it's time consuming, but lots of times we work with the county or whomever to just reword some stuff. And usually it works. But, you know, sometimes they don't want to change, and sometimes the costs for data sets are just too high. And they're probably the main reasons that we haven't acquired a lot of sources that we want to acquire. But again, if you're a data supplier and it's something that you want to see get updated, just keep in mind this Here Maps supplier portal. And that takes me to the map creator and expert community. Going back to what I said before, what did I say, 85% of the map is probably created by the field, 10% from sources, and 5% from this map creator and expert communities. So this is a new initiative that was been rolled out in the last few years. I'm not going to say map creator, that's been around for a while, but the expert communities. This program is set to replace the old DUR, which stood for Database Update Requests, and MR, which stands for Map Reporter programs that have been in place for the last 18 years. Under those programs, end users would usually submit errors, and the team, either at NAVTEQ or at HERE, would make the fix. By changing this up, and it's a transition, it's been in transition for a couple years now, it gives individuals and empowers individuals to make the change themselves, to actually add to the map, update the map. And this is happening with other platforms. I know OpenStreetMap and Google, and there's others that you can go in. You've been able to do that. It's taken us a little while to get there, but we're there now. Like I said, we've been collecting community feedback since 1997, so it's been 18 years. It allows customers and end users to provide data on our maps and solve discrepancies. It's definitely going to be a very valuable part of our map maintenance going forward. Like I said, we have 3 people in the greater Philadelphia area, and we can't get to everything. So we use a tool, it's called Map Creator. It was set up to allow for active involvement of communities, including the creation or editing of road geometry, road names, point addresses, and many, many road attributes. As you've seen here, maps are utilized by many products and vendors. We talked enterprise, UPS, FedEx, Amazon. It's used by Garmin, Bing Maps. The program is very user-friendly, and it's a way for you to get in there and make a change. It's easy. It can be fun, I guess, for some. And students get the opportunity to gain experience. I mean, this has been key. Over the last couple months, we've really pushed this on. Well, I shouldn't say we really pushed it. We've had the ability to go talk to a couple different colleges in Pennsylvania. IUP, which is the Indiana University of Pennsylvania, Kutztown, Millersville, and Penn State. We've done 4 conferences there, not at Penn State, but 4 conferences in all over the last couple months, and it's been great. At IUP, we actually have a semester-long program going on right now where we have 3 students that are using Map Creator, and we have a curriculum in place where they're actually going out making useful changes to the map. Penn State wants to do something like that, so does Kutztown, and that's probably going to happen next semester. But it's something we really want to try to branch out to all colleges locally. And here's a real-life story. This is in Belarus. New York Times, they reported that people in Belarus, they defied their government. And they actually went into Map Creator, and they mapped roads and places in their county with the help of HERE and created a map, a usable map for everybody in Belarus. Again, this is being used a lot in other countries. We have a mature market here, so it's not really being used all that much. Yeah, I mean, it's being used, but not in other countries. It's being used a lot more. So it's web-based. It's intuitive and easy to use. Instant publishing of edits in our community layer. Community layer, if anybody can go in and make changes, there has to be a level of quality and checks. So every edit gets published in the community layer, and then those edits then will go through a QA process. And if they're legitimate changes, they're good changes, they'll get posted into our actual map. So it takes a little bit of time, but you're capable of doing that. So here's a screenshot of Map Creator if you go there. Timing is good for individuals that may want to sign up, as old Nokia accounts are being shut down and people will need to re-register with the new HERE accounts. So, you know, if anybody on this call has ever registered on Map Creator, you're probably going to have to go in there and update your account. This is a way to get the Map Creator, here.com/Map Creator. I mentioned it's very user-friendly when you go in there. This is from State College, from University Park. Anybody that has gone to Penn State or been to Penn State the building right at the top of each screenshot is the Walker building. That's the geography building. In this first example on the left, you can not see it very well. Bottom left, there's Railroad Avenue. That's been highlighted, so you can go in, you can make it one way, you can change the speed, you can pretty much do whatever you want to do to modify road attributes. And on the right-hand side, there's a little restaurant that's circled in red. This example, they're adding a Vietnamese food restaurant to that link. So you can add places, you can add point addresses, you can modify roads, you can add roads. It's pretty cool. Again, this just goes back to adding places, just another example. You pretty much add anything, roadside attractions, potential POIs. There's a lot of opportunity with Map Creator. This is one other screenshot from University Park in State College. The white is existing road geometry. Green was existing pedestrian geometry. And then a group that we sent up there walked some of the campus, and they used a GPX app on their Windows phone, and they walked around campus. So everything in yellow is what they walked up there, is the GPS trail that they walked. And then you can load that GPX file into Map Creator, and you can actually make the edits yourself. So this enables us to map tough locations, such as parks, college campuses, where imagery is outdated, tree coverage. There's a lot of construction on college campuses where roads and pedestrian geometry change a lot. So, you know, going back to the whole college and student example, this is something that we're trying to get students to work on, because it provides hands-on experience, and it can be a resume builder as well. You can vote within Map Creator. If you see an edit that's completely wrong, you can reject it, and that helps when you go through the QA process. Not you, but when we go through the QA process on determining what gets added, what does not get added from the community layer. If a lot of stuff gets rejected, it gets tossed immediately. But if it gets endorsed by a number of people, then it's going to be accepted faster. So this is pretty much a slide saying anybody is invited to join these expert communities that we create in Map Creator. If you go to Map Creator and you hit register, this is the page that you'll get. And if you're brand new, you hit register for a Here account. If you have an old Nokia account, you just sign in using your old Nokia account, I believe. Oh, maybe, yeah, I think you sign in using your old Nokia account, and then it will link the two up. And so in summary, Map Creator gives you the power to make updates to our map. Sourcing-wise, recognize, if you're a source provider, recognize providing your local data as an opportunity, because it really will help our map and help the general public living in your area. Accurate maps make navigation easier, benefits you and your local community. It's a great way to get involved in web-based interactive mapping. So a few questions I have for all you on here, like as a source provider, would your data help upgrade our current map? You know, we're always looking for great sources, if it's centerline parcel, parks, land use, to make the best navigable map available to the general public. So if you're aware of locations within your municipality, or if you're made aware from family and friends that are not accurate on GPS systems, on your nav system, on your phone, whatever, this program may be for you. And then again, that's just being a source provider. As for Map Creator, I mean, would you potentially be interested in signing up for Map Creator to join our ever-growing map communities? We understand that Map Creator is not for everyone, but if you do have interest in helping to build a map, give it a try. Map Creator is not really geared for agencies that are the so-called source providers. If you're a county GIS, you're not going to build your own map of your county and then go into Map Creator and do the same thing twice. That doesn't work. I mean, it works, but it's just a waste of time in my opinion. But if you're an individual extremely passionate about maps and you have time and energy to provide valuable contributions, it would work. Perhaps if you're a geography class or student learning the basics of GIS and cartography and using Map Creator as a resume builder, or you can use it to get real-time, real-world experience. And if you fit the mold as wanting to complete hands-on map building, this program may be for you. I think I have a couple slides left. So this is an online blog on stories about maps and people, transit tech, all kinds of stuff related to our maps. It's called 360.here.com. So, I mean, if you ever wanted to see what's going on in the world of Here Maps, it's a good place to go. This C-ARC project made some press in Philly not too long ago, and it's a way that they're using LiDAR to preserve historic landmarks in case we have some sort of disaster. And I believe that we teamed up with C-ARC to provide the LiDAR from one of our fleet vehicles for this. And an ending, this is my last slides. In a complex world, maps can make lives simple and safer. You know, maps can be the answer to many of our questions, like how to navigate from point A to point B. That's just the start. Our world is complex, and maps can make our lives simpler and easier and safer. I mean, if you're visiting New York for the first time and you want to get from point A to point B, you can use our map, our apps to get on the subway. And then at the end of your journey on your subway, you can find maybe a restaurant or your hotel. Just make things living and easier. And it's a living thing. I mean, the map you need at 7 a.m. is not the map you need at 7 p.m. Think about your daily commute to work. Although the map, like the center line, does not change. If you're in rush hour, traffic does. So if it's heavy and you want to try a detour home, again, the map changes. It's dynamic. It's a living thing. You can, hopefully you have a traffic feature on your phone or your nav system, and it can help you get home faster and safer. You know, the map you need is about people, not all about technology. It's available everywhere in the world and via any of our devices. So in closing, the map you need is here. And I believe that is it. So, you know, I thank you for your time. It's a little after 11, but I guess if you have any questions for Q&A, get it to Bob and Janelle. I'll try my best to answer them.
Thanks, Jeff. We do have a couple. Since we have a couple minutes, I'll read them back to you, and then if there are areas that you can respond to, then do so. If not, you know, we can certainly connect the question answer with you later on if it's something that's, you know, not in your wheelhouse to answer. A couple kind of related to Delaware Valley. One of the attendees asked if there are tie-ins with Google Earth at all in the Delaware Valley.
No, we don't really, from what my knowledge, we don't deal with Google or Google Earth. I think any of the imagery we use is from another company. So yeah, anything related, from what I understand, we're not affiliated, or we don't deal with Google Earth.
Okay. And then kind of sticking with the Delaware Valley, is there, one of the questions is how many data layers for the maps are available. I'm not sure if you'll know the answer to that, but that's certainly one of the questions there. That's how it's been posed.
The number of data layers. I guess I'd need to get more information exactly on what data layers. I mean, I know that the data that we produce, that we work on daily, it includes pretty much everything from road attribution, one-ways, names, all the attributes I talked about earlier, which were only, you know, a couple of the 100. But our core map has many, many, many layers. But if you're talking about traffic, if you're talking about look-aside tables for transit, details on when certain bus lines run, that's a different layer that we don't see. There's certain POI layers that we don't see. We have core POIs such as hospitals, colleges, malls, and all that stuff that we see in our core map. But there are a lot of layers that I can't see on my end. I know I'm not really answering probably the question adequately, but I would probably have to get more information for that.
Okay. Well, if the audience, any of you guys want to ask Jeff questions directly, his information will be in the presentation that we put on the website. So a couple others, Jeff, related to the mapping updates. have you considered drones or DOT traffic cams or Landsat as ways to help update your data?
I know we used to use, when we were in the Malvern facility, we used DOT cameras all the time. We'd have people looking at that camera and updating traffic features and traffic counts or just traffic in general using it, the DOT cameras. But since that facility is no longer in use, I'm not sure locally if we do use DOT. I know my team really doesn't, because we're not concerned really about the traffic, because our team's not affiliated with the traffic part. Traffic comes from probe data, and I guess they might be using DOT cameras in Chicago or in Boston. Those are where our two regional offices are, where a lot of the traffic team had moved to. In terms of drones, again, I haven't heard anything. I guess being isolated in the Philly field office, that's one thing we don't really hear about. But I know at a high level they have talked about planes, and I don't know if they've said drones, but trying to incorporate quicker ways to get updated imagery, because having updated imagery really is key for quicker updates. In terms of updating the map, in the past we would do 4 quarterly releases a year. So every 3 months we'd do a quarterly release, and it would take us many, many weeks to compile our data and get it into the use of Garmin or Microsoft or whomever. Then it took them many, many months to compile it and get it into their maps. So the whole update process was extremely painful and extremely slow. And I think everybody on this call is probably aware of that, and it still is slow. Nowadays, we're doing weekly releases. We've really made a lot of progress, but the problem is not all of our customers have the power to take our weekly releases. So something we may change in the map today, on here.com, those changes get incorporated faster than, say, Garmin or Yahoo Maps or Bing or the nav system in your vehicle. But we are making progress, and it's been a really sore point for years. I mean, it's technology. I think it's getting there to the point where, I mean, ideally, when we have connected cars going, I think ideally it's real-time traffic updates. I make a change here in Philly. You're on the road somewhere in New Jersey, and something changes. It gets beamed to your car, and boom, the change is there. I mean, that's ideally where everybody wants to head, but we're not there yet.
Okay, that makes sense. So, kind of switching over to, you mentioned how sourcing and using external folks to help update the maps provides value. Does here reciprocate providing data back to some of the sources? You know, such, for example, if you provide data back to PennDOT to update their center lines?
It's rare that kind of stuff happens, but there has been there's been agreements through the sales department where that kind of stuff has happened. I worked not recently, back in 2009, 10, and 11, I worked on a project in Virginia where they were providing their data to us quarterly for all 134 municipalities, or localities they call them in Virginia, and we were spending a ton of time updating those sources, and we did return something to them, but I can't tell you what for sure, because again, that was the sales team in Virginia. They brokered that deal. I was just told to plan the field work. So it has happened in the past, and if people are interested, then that's something that I'd have to get the sales team involved with. But for the most part, I think we've acquired over 80,000 sources, and a lot of times they want to hand us the sources and say, get this into your map, because people can't route in our community. But yeah, there is an outside chance that there could be a reciprocal agreement. But again, that would be something that'd have to go through the sales team.
Right. Again, I guess along the same lines, how do you evaluate those sources? That's another question I've seen pop up here.
We take the sources usually, and we'll take a couple different clips of that source, and we would go out and physically drive those clips to see if it matches reality. First, if it matches our database, and then we would go out and make sure that it matches reality. So there is a process in place for evaluation of these sources.
Okay. Well, we're almost up against it here. I think we've got time for maybe one more question here, Jeff. And that
Sure.
does here provide data for performance reporting?
Performance reporting.
I think it's related to like performance of specific roadways in high volume times and things like that. Enriched data along those lines.
That I'm not sure about that.
Okay.
If somebody, whoever asked that question, if they want to email me, my information's up on the probably up on the screen, or call. That's fine too.
Right.
I'm available whenever. But
Yeah.
if somebody, whoever asked that question, if you want to email and elaborate a little bit more, I mean, I could definitely look into it.
Right, right. And like I said, we'll actually be publishing this presentation to our website, so your information will be up there as well if they go there. So, okay, I think that's pretty much what we have time for. Janelle, is there anything you want to do in closing here?
Yeah, just wanted to remind everybody that the next webinar is going to be on June 10th at 10 o'clock, and it's going to be on the developments and results of the GIS-T online Penn State course, and it's going to be given by Don Keel and Emily Baxter from the John Dutton E-Education Institute at Penn State, and Jason Hollister, Transportation GIS Specialist from Northeast Pennsylvania Alliance. So please register when it comes out and tune in for more. Thank you all.
Okay. Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Bye-bye.